For many years, quiet whispers followed. The life of gospel legend Guy Penrod. Fans and critics alike spread rumors. About his marriage, raised questions. About his wife, Angie Clark, and wondered if the family life he often spoke about was truly as steady and unshakable as it seemed. Those whispers only grew louder as his fame increased. In his own words, he once admitted, "We are in a season of life where it's intense at our house. We've got 7 boys and a little girl from 18 down to 4 every 2 years. With such a large family and the demands of a public career, curiosity about his personal life never stopped. People kept wondering, but for a long time, no clear answer came. Finally, at the age of 62, Guy Penrod decided to face the rumors directly. Instead of leaving fans guessing, he spoke openly and cleared the air. He confirmed the talk about his wife, but the truth was not the dramatic story many expected. There was no scandal, no separation, and no shocking betrayal. Instead, he revealed something far more powerful. He had chosen his marriage over fame. By stepping back from the spotlight, he was protecting his relationship with Angie and ensuring his family remained strong. It wasn't about giving up success, but about prioritizing what mattered most. Guy's journey began long before his fame. I was born in Abilene, Texas, and raised there in West Texas and over in New Mexico. He recalled his father was a preacher, and so faith and music were deeply rooted in his upbringing. Singing was not just a pastime. It was part of daily life. His very first experiences with music came in church, standing alongside his family and lifting his voice in worship. That foundation of faith and song would shape everything that followed. The name Guy Penrod brings to mind a man whose voice has touched countless lives. With his tall frame, flowing silver hair, and rich baritone voice, he became a figure who could fill both grand concert halls and small country churches with the same sincerity. His years with the Gaither Vocal Band made him a familiar face. But his legacy was more than just music. It was his warm spirit, his gentle approach to worship, and his ability to reach people from all walks of life. Yet, behind the lights and applause is a man who has faced both joy and heavy trials. Many know his songs well, but not everyone knows about his personal battles, his long marriage, the struggles of raising 8 children, and the sacrifices made along the way. His story is not one of effortless success. Alongside his victories came challenges, difficult seasons in his marriage, the heavy responsibility of raising a large family, and the pressure of a life constantly in the spotlight. Rumors swirled, questions rose, and hardships tested his strength. But through it all, there was also deep spiritual growth and renewal. His trials did not break him. They refined him. Even when traveling across the world, juggling tours and carrying the weight of ministry, Guy leaned on his faith. His life was never about chasing applause, but about living faithfully one day at a time. In a world where fame often destroys families and pressure breaks people, Guy held firmly to simple values. While others sought fame or power, he focused on raising his children and building a home grounded in love and truth. His honesty, even when difficult, gave his testimony strength. Of course, marriage was not always easy. There were nights of tears, long conversations, and days filled with exhaustion. Yet, Guy and Angie held tightly to the promises they made to each other. Their commitment to faith and family kept them steady even in the hardest seasons. They prove that real love is not about perfection, but about choosing each other again and again. Even when life tests you behind closed doors. When Guy chose to step away from the Gaither Vocal Band, many were shocked. The group was at its peak, and his presence had made him one of the most recognizable names in gospel music. But his decision was not about walking away from opportunity. It was about listening to a deeper call. He wanted to protect his marriage, raise his children, and guard the peace of his home. For him, no amount of fame could compare to that. Guy could have pursued more recognition with his voice and reputation. Doors were wide open. Endorsements, television deals, and high-profile collaborations were all within reach. But those things didn't align with his values. Instead of chasing headlines, he chose to build stability for his family. He understood that fame fades, but faithfulness leaves a legacy for generations. That decision showed his true strength. Not by avoiding trouble, but by facing challenges honestly and staying grounded. The lesson is powerful. Truth is not just something sung on stage. It must be lived daily. Family should never be traded for fleeting applause. And the truest ministry begins at home. Quiet. Faithfulness may not grab headlines, but it leaves the deepest mark. As time moves on, Guy may step onto the stage less often, but his legacy will endure far beyond the music. It will live in the bond of his marriage and the lives of his children who carry his values, and in the songs that continue to uplift weary hearts with reminders of God's promises. A foundation like that does not crumble. It only grows stronger with time, leaving behind an inheritance that fame could never provide. Guy's story began in Taylor, Texas, where he was born on July 2, 1963. Raised in a Christian home, gospel music was never just entertainment. It was a way of life. Surrounded by faith and melody, he discovered early on how music could shape hearts and souls. After finishing school, he pursued his gift by studying voice at Liberty University in Lynchburg, Virginia. That education gave him more than vocal training. It gave him the foundation for a lifelong ministry. Before the spotlight, Guy worked behind the scenes in Nashville, lending his voice as a background singer for major names like Michael W. Smith, Amy Grant, and G. Brooks. His deep baritone quickly became in demand. But while the studio opened doors, it was clear his path was leading towards something greater. That calling became clear in the early 1990s when he joined the Gaither Vocal Band. From then on, his voice took center stage. Songs like Yes, I Know Alpha and Omega and Because He Lives carried his music into churches, arenas, and living rooms worldwide. For more than 14 years, Guy traveled with Bill Gaither and the band, leaving an indelible mark on gospel music. His long hair, Western style, and commanding presence made him instantly recognizable. But it was his sincerity and humility that left the deepest impression. Despite the fame, he remained grounded. Faith and marriage always came first. His ministry was not about performance, but about pointing people toward God in gospel music circles. Marriage and family often stand as living testimonies of faith. And for Guy, this has been especially true. Since the 1980s, he has shared his life with Angie. Together, they raised 8 children in a home built on faith, discipline, and love. Their story became admired as a reflection of Christian family values. Raising such a large family was never easy. Angie played a central role homeschooling all of their children and teaching not only academics, but also the values of humility, responsibility, and faith. She created an environment where belief wasn't just taught but lived out daily. While Guy's music inspired audiences across the globe, Angie's steady guidance shaped their family at home. He often expressed deep gratitude for her strength, especially during the years when his ministry took him on long tours. She carried the weight of parenting, teaching, and managing the household, ensuring the family stayed unified. She wasn't just a supportive wife. She was the anchor holding everything together. Still, balancing home and touring was never simple. In interviews, Guy admitted that travel created gaps. He sometimes missed milestones, felt disconnected, and even returned home feeling like a stranger in his own house. Yet through those struggles, the Penrods chose faith over fame, holding tightly to each other and to God, even with a strong spiritual foundation at the center of their home. Marriage was still tested by the everyday realities of distance, heavy responsibilities, and constant demands from both family and ministry. These struggles did not go unnoticed within gospel circles or among the fans who closely followed their journey. Quiet speculation began to grow over time. Some people believe that the pressures of ministry work, the challenge of homeschooling 8 children, and the ongoing responsibility of maintaining a positive public image placed an unavoidable strain on their marriage. While the Penrods never faced any scandal, there was a clear recognition that their path was not free of hardship. Guy himself admitted that stage success means very little if the home feels empty. That realization eventually led him to rethink his commitments and evaluate where his heart truly belonged. Slowly, Guy began stepping back from certain responsibilities, carefully choosing to protect and strengthen the bonds within his family, instead of spreading himself too thin. Angie also became less visible at public events, a sign that the couple was intentionally shifting their focus more toward their private life rather than the spotlight. By 2009, the change was undeniable. Guy officially announced his departure from the Gaither Vocal Band, a move that shocked many loyal fans. While this transition opened the door for him to pursue a solo ministry, it also reflected a much deeper decision. He was consciously choosing family over fame, stability over constant travel, long-term faithfulness over short-term recognition. When Guy Penrod decided to step away from the Gaither Vocal Band, many people were caught off guard at that point. He was one of the most recognized and admired voices in the group. So, his Exit naturally raised countless questions. Fans wondered if the reason was exhaustion, personal disagreements, or simply the need to dedicate more time to his large family. Yet, Guy's explanation was far simpler. He said that the season had come for him to move into a different chapter of his life. He genuinely believed that God was leading him into a more personal kind of ministry, one that would allow him to set his own pace, spend more time at home, and take on fewer overwhelming demands. For Guy, the decision was always about keeping family at the heart of life. He openly admitted that his children were growing quickly,